How big does a burger have to be to require a team of 40 people to finish it? Man vs. Food had some pretty outrageous challenges. In the very first episode of Man vs. Food that aired in 2008, Adam Richman took on the 72-ounce steak challenge at the Big Texan in Amarillo. When Richman did the challenge, about 48,000 people had attempted it and 40,000 had failed. Today, more than 90,000 contestants have ordered the giant steak dinner, with only around 10,000 making it through to the last bite. The challenge originated in 1962 when the owner put together a contest after regularly seeing Texas cowboys ordering the biggest steaks available and competing with each other to see who would eat the most while out-of-towners watched. The tradition lives on today. Anyone can order the steak challenge during the restaurant's business hours. Along with the steak, contestants must eat a shrimp cocktail, a baked potato, a salad, and a roll with butter within 1 hour, though Richman finished the meal in about 30 minutes. If you're an avid fan of the show, you know Richman doesn't like all of the food challenges, but he seemed to genuinely enjoy this one.
So far as other challenges, this was by far one of the most delicious.
Even if you enjoy eating oysters, slurping down platter after platter of them is enough to make most anyone squirm. In the 10th episode of the first season of Man vs. Food, Adam Richman headed to New Orleans' Acme Oyster House to join the 15 Dozen Club. Members of the prestigious group must clear 180 oysters within an hour. For context, 5 out of every 6 competitors fail at this shellfish-based challenge, which is offered at all 6 of the restaurant's locations in the South. Acme Oyster House might be known for some of the freshest oysters around, but that doesn't make it any easier. Richman employed several strategies like adding plenty of hot sauce and horseradish and stacking multiple oysters on his fork at one time. At the beginning, he was really enjoying himself, but by the end, he was obviously struggling with the mollusk's slippery texture. Fortunately, he persisted and became the 29th member of the Acme Hall of Fame. In a 2015 interview with The Mirror, Richman was asked if a challenge ever ruined his relationship with a particular food. His response? Yes. After the oyster challenge in New Orleans, which was over half a decade ago, I think I may have had less than a dozen since. It just turned me off. The Roast Grill in Raleigh, North Carolina, prides itself on its 100-plus-year-old chili recipe that was brought to the U.S. by Greek immigrants and put on the menu when the business opened in 1940. At this chili dog joint, the original record that began the challenge was 13 chili dogs. Over the years, the record grew to 16, and Richman came to beat it. He was served 17 hot dogs along with a full pint of chili. At first, Richman cleared the dogs in 2 or 3 bites, but he later admitted the buns were difficult as they expanded in his gut. With a crowd of North Carolinians cheering behind him, Richman forced down the 17th dog to break the record and temporarily renamed the contest the Man vs. Food Roast Grill Challenge. Richman's record lasted only a few months, though, as several challengers have since beaten that food feat. Adam Richman visited Honolulu, Hawaii, for a very heavy breakfast-related food competition, the Mac Daddy Challenge. It involves 3 pounds of pancake mix, combined with water and topped with another pound of toppings. When Richman showed up, only 4 people had ever finished the 5-pound challenge. Though as of this video, the restaurant's Hall of Fame lists 120 names, including competitive eater Joey Chestnut. To make the famous pancakes, the chef needs a comically large mixer, a pizza peel for flipping, and a pizza cutter for slicing through the results. The choice of toppings ranges from chocolate and pecan to macadamia and pineapple. For his pancakes, Richman went with blueberries and vanilla butter. As Richman explained at the beginning of the episode, taking down such a starchy challenge was no easy feat, since the food typically continues to expand in the stomach. Before he dug in, the chef outlined the rules. 90 minutes to finish the challenge. He couldn't leave his chair, and not even a single blueberry could be left on the plate. Unfortunately, time ran out before Richman could defeat this starch-filled foe. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, which is probably what Adam Richman was thinking after taking on the B3, the Big Badass Burrito Challenge. What makes this burrito so badass, you ask? It weighs 6 pounds and measures 2 feet long. To make this monster, 4 16-inch tortillas are packed full of lettuce, rice, beans, cheese, jalapenos, braised beef, and nacho cheese sauce. But that's not all. It's also topped with more sauce and cheese, tomatoes, black olives, scallions, and big scoops of sour cream and guacamole. Richmond had hoped to become the third person to ever consume all 6 pounds of burrito goodness. He had 90 minutes to devour the burrito, but unfortunately, he was unable to finish the final pound. He officially became a certified weenie at the NASCAR Cafe, which was torn down in 2013 to make way for new development. Casey Webb, the second host of Man vs. Food, traveled to Minneapolis in 2018 to take on an absolutely monstrous 2.5-foot-long Vietnamese banh mi at Lou's Sandwiches. The behemoth weighs nearly 4 pounds and contains beautifully marinated roast pork, green onions, pickled carrots and radish, cucumber, cilantro, and jalapenos, all on top of a huge French roll layered with pâté and mayonnaise. With only half an hour to finish the challenge, Webb was faced with a steep task. As he predicted, it wasn't the quantity of the food, but the excessive chewing that would be his downfall.
And at this point, even if my stomach can handle it, my jaw may give out.
In the end, taking down the Giant Banh-mi was too much. At the 30-minute mark, he still had about a quarter of the sandwich left. Webb's photo graces the Wall of Fame on the restaurant's website, even though he didn't slay the sandwich challenge. In Anchorage, Alaska, Adam Richmond took on a challenge with a fitting name, the Kodiak Arrest, served at Humpy's Great Alaskan Alehouse. When Richmond showed up, not a single person had finished all the food in the allotted 90 minutes. The crazy platter consists of 6 pounds of food that combines the best and freshest that the state has to offer. The first course is the Alaskan salmon cakes, made of freshly baked salmon, breadcrumbs, veggies, and cheese, sculpted into 7 2-ounce patties. Next comes 3 pounds of Alaskan king crab, a foot-long reindeer sausage, 6 ounces of sautéed vegetables, 6 ounces of mashed potatoes, and a mixed berry crisp with ice cream for dessert. The first challenge took 15 minutes just to de-shell the crab. According to Richmond, the shellfish put him in a euphoric state. He ended up conquering the Alaskan Food Challenge with more than 40 minutes to spare. In a Reddit AMA, Richmond said the Kodiak Arrest Challenge was his favorite during his Man vs. Food career. The Kodiak Arrest has gotten more difficult since he completed it in 2009. Today's challenge now consists of 4 pounds of Alaskan crab, a 14-inch sausage, plus all the other menu items, and a 60-minute time limit. But that hasn't stopped diners, who are now racking up the wins. Casey Webb traveled to the Ozarks to take on a massive cupcake known as Goliath. Kirby's Cupcakes, which has closed since this challenge was filmed, baked up a dessert that was equal to 22 cupcakes. It consisted of all of the bakery basics: flour, sugar, cocoa, salt, baking soda, eggs, oil, vanilla, and vinegar. After the batter was blended together, nearly 24 scoops were added to an extra-large cupcake mold. Webb opted for chocolate and peanut butter flavored icing. He went at the incredibly sweet challenge by making sure every bite of cupcake had some icing on it, so he wasn't stuck just eating frosting toward the end of his 30 minutes.
Eating the Goliath is like getting a direct injection of sugar into my veins.
He was definitely hurting from the massive amount of the cake, but he pushed through. In the battle between David and Goliath, Webb came out on top. Everything but the kitchen sink is exactly what Adam Richmond found in this dessert from the San Francisco Creamery. The kitchen sink is a 2-gallon sundae with 8 scoops of any flavor of ice cream, 8 servings of whipped cream, and 8 toppings. Construction of Richmond's Dairy Tower started with a whole banana, followed by 3 scoops of orange sherbet, followed by more bananas and plenty of rainbow sprinkles. Next came 3 scoops of good old vanilla, another banana, and chocolate sprinkles. The final scoops Richmond chose were cake mix and Swiss milk chocolate. The whole thing was topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, almonds, and more chocolate sprinkles. Armed with a massive spoon, Richmond dug in. Although it was quite enjoyable at first, he soon hit a sugar-filled wall. In response, he came up with a genius tactic: eating salty French fries to balance his palate. The sundae melted down to a soupy broth. But Richmond powered through. After it was over, he said that it was one of the harder challenges he had faced.
I think anytime it's that much dairy, I find that to be a very difficult kind of challenge because it's not a lot for your stomach to hold on to.
According to the San Francisco Creamery Company, as of September 1st, 2023, the kitchen sink record to beat for the year is 20 minutes, though the all-time speed record clocks in at 6 minutes 41 seconds. Richmond headed to South Philly to try one of the most popular cheesesteaks around, and became the first to make it onto Tony Luke's Cheesesteak Hall of Fame. Owner Tony Luke joined Richmond in the inaugural challenge. So what does the ultimate cheesesteak challenge include? It starts out with nearly 3 pounds of aged ribeye, cooked on a flat top, then smothered with more than a pound of cheese. Richmond switched out the traditional cheese whiz for the less dense American cheese. Next, the mountains of meat are stacked on top of a 20-inch roll, then topped off with another half pound of onions. In all, the sandwich weighs over 5 pounds of Philly goodness. Richmond and Luke had an hour to finish the massive sandwiches. The host confidently declared,
"Cheesesteak is one of my all-time favorite foods, and I don't see how anything can stop me from finishing this awesome sandwich."
However, the cheese became glue-like, which made it hard to swallow. Regardless, Richmond pushed through like a champ, and he went down in cheesesteak history as the first member of Tony Luke's Hall of Fame. The restaurant is still in South Philly, but it now operates as Tony and Nick's Steaks after some legal issues and a family split. A separate chain of Tony Luke's restaurants has more than a dozen locations, though neither business lists the cheesesteak challenge on their online menus. Adam Richmond has demolished tons of different burgers during his time on Man vs. Food, but none quite like the absolutely ridiculous burger at Mally's Sports Grill and Bar. Located just outside Detroit, Michigan, this restaurant makes a burger that weighs 190 pounds. It starts with 210 pounds of ground beef baked in a special oven. They put on 10 pounds of assorted cheeses, 15 pounds of vegetables, and 4 pounds of crispy bacon. The top bun alone weighs 20 pounds. It's impossible for any one person to eat, so Richmond invited a team of true Detroiters, from local police officers to roller derby team members to wrestlers to a Kiss cover band. Together, they had 2 hours to eat the monstrous burger. Chunks were distributed to the 40-person team. And while the group cleared more than 160 pounds of food, it wasn't enough. If you're looking for a solo challenge, Mally's offers a 10-pound monster burger that's free if you can finish it in under 60 minutes. These days, the restaurant's menu also sports an 1,800-pound behemoth that earned a Guinness World Record as the largest commercially available burger. And it can be yours for just $10,000.